What's going on, everybody? Hey, this is your boy JC from Jceaglestalk, and I am with a special guest today, Mr. Philly Insider himself. Hey, he's about to drop some knowledge that you probably ain't even heard before. So let's get into it. Introduce yourself, Mr. Philly Insider.
Jceaglestalk, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be on here and talk some birds today. So yeah, I do Philly Insider podcast with all my guys over there, and I write for InsideTheEagles.com as well. So I love the birds. I love talking about them, love writing about them, and I'm excited to do it some more today.
Yes, sir. And his link is below. So if you are not subscribed to his channel, please subscribe to his channel. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel because this season is going to be fire. But as you know, we cannot start this live without the Philadelphia Eagles national anthem. Let's get it. This is how you come into a live stream. Hey, you know, if only y'all could see me, I'm back there flapping my wings, you know, shouting out and just singing this Philadelphia Eagle national anthem. Look, I love my Philadelphia Eagles, and this year I believe that we're going to hear that song a lot because I believe that the offense that we have put together this offseason will be at least a top 10 offense and a top. If we are not the top rushing offense in the league, then there's something wrong. But hey, with all being said, let's get into it, my guy. So my first question I have for you, do you think the Eagles are one quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I mean, obviously a lot's going to be on Jalen Hurts this year, right? But I think with the offense as a whole, we just have a lot to learn with everyone, right? I think the offensive line, we have to learn, you know, what's kind of the longevity of Johnson and Brooks. Can they stay healthy this year, right? I think you look at Dickerson, who I think he's going to be a beast, but will he kind of surpass, you know, Sayamalu or Kelsey at this point? Probably not Kelsey this year, but, you know, I think Sayamalu's, the fact that he's our weakest link on the line, I think is very telling of how good the line is. But if Dickerson can surpass him, I think that takes your offensive line to a whole new level. And what's the left tackle situation going to be like? Because obviously he's got a lot of potential because of he has such a high ceiling because he's so big. But can he build off of what he did last season? What's his ceiling look like? Can Andre Dillard be the first round pick we drafted him to be? So, I mean, obviously that's left tackle, probably one of the most important positions on the offensive side of the football. So, you know, what that will look like, I think will dictate a lot too. And I think the wide receiver position, you know, can Fulgham build off of that 5-game stretch he had last year? What's he going to look like in year 2 with the Philadelphia Eagles? And Reagor, can he be, you know, better as that number 2 type of guy? I think he will be. I think he's set to really have success this year, but can he have success? And what's it going to look like if guys go down in the wide receiver room, right? Because I think we've had our fair share of injuries there in the past. So what's the depth going to look like? How good are these young guys? And I think, you know, running back room, I don't have too many concerns about. I think we have the talent there, and I think we have the coaches in place to make that group successful. But yeah, kind of, I think my big point being like the health of certain positions, the stability of that left tackle spot, and then coming to the quarterback position, I think, you know, I think we're a few pieces away from a Super Bowl contender, but I think quarterback, you know, I have a lot of faith in Jalen Hurts. I think he's a hard worker. I think he has a lot of potential. He showed the flashes, but, you know, there is some stuff he's got to clean up. I think the accuracy's got to get a little bit better with his motion and everything, because he had a bad throw percentage and on-target percentage similar to that of Drew Lock, which I think he's better than Drew Lock, but, you know, you don't want to really be in that category this upcoming year, at least, unless Drew Lock has some massive comeback, which I don't expect. But, you know, what's the deal with that? And then can this offensive coaching staff as a whole, like, can Sirianni be that elite play caller that we think he's going to be? So I think we're a few pieces away, but I think when we learn more about this team, we could be a quarterback away. We might not even be a quarterback away. So I think while I'm a little skeptical, I'm also very optimistic at the same time. What are your thoughts on it?
All right, look, I mean, so your straightforward answer is no, we're not a quarterback away. Because hey,
Right.
according to you, hey, we do have a lot of question marks. You know, the left tackle position. Who's going to be our backup to Miles Sanders? Who's going to be
Right.
our third wide receiver? You know, how the defense is going to look like first year under JG. I mean, he's never been
Yeah.
a defensive coordinator before, so this is his first time around. You know, what kind of
Exactly.
play callings are we going to do? Because last year, what bit us in the butt last year was bad play calling when it came down to the fourth quarter. I mean, instead of kicking a field goal, we went for two or try to go for it, which made us lost a couple games. So yes, there's a lot of questions, but I have complete confidence in Jalen Hurts because like just watching his college tape, his college tape and the first game against the Saints told me a lot because he got thrown into the fire last year with 4 games left. Carson Wentz was stinking it up. He went he beat the number 1 defense at that time. He ran against them. He threw against them. He did whatever he wanted to do. So I feel like that Jalen Hurts could be the answer, but it's going to depend on the play calling. Like we need our coaches to put our guys in positions where they could succeed, not just set them up for failure like we did last year a few times. Like we was going for it on our own side of the field because we didn't trust, our punter or a kicker, like anybody. Like we had the confidence. We lost the swag that we had back in 2017, 18 when we won that Super Bowl. So I believe we have the perfect pieces in place. Like I have no questions with our coaches. I feel like this was a great hire. And I feel like there's a lot of coaches the first year that goes far in the playoff. Sean McVay went far into the playoffs. So, I mean, as long as you got the right pieces, the right combination of veterans and rookies that we have now. So I think we are set up for a good season. Way better than last year. I mean, last year, we only won 4 games. We should have won at least 7 or 8. But they're calling dumb mistakes. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think just piggybacking off what you said with Sean McVay too, looking at Jared Goff, like I don't think Jared Goff is a very talented NFL quarterback. I think he's very limited in what he can do. It was a lot of bootleg where he was rolling out to the right, a lot of 5 wide to make it easier for him. And he never really got out of the stuff he did. Like it was a lot of running the ball too, just to get him comfortable, play action off of that. Whereas like with Baker Mayfield, I think you look at, he does some of that stuff, but he can also make some of the throws you need him to make. Whereas Jared Goff, it's like you get pressure on him, you get him uncomfortable. He's a very different quarterback. And I think considering that and how Nick Sirianni has put his quarterbacks in good spots throughout his career, whether it was his first stint in the NFL with Kansas City, when he was the quarterback's coach and Matt Castle had his best NFL season, whether it was San Diego where he was coaching Phillip Rivers for a little bit, or whether it was the Colts where he worked with 3 different quarterbacks, him and Frank Reich did, and they catered to each of their play styles and had a balanced running attack. So I think you look at that. I think you look at even if Jalen Hurts doesn't have the ceiling we quite think he does, I think they can still win with him. Maybe if it's not because of him, but I think, like you said, Jalen Hurts is a dog. The fact that he's in the same categories as Locke right now, I think shows that, he's already, Locke's been playing for 2 years now. I mean, Jalen Hurts got thrown into the fire, like you said, after being like a COVID filled offseason where it was virtual for most of the time. He didn't get any preseason games, and he comes in later in the season in the middle of a Packers game too, and does pretty well to start that game and sparks the team. So I think the young guys, it's someone they look to rally around as well. And, again, even if he doesn't pan out, I think that we can win with him, and that, there's still going to be safety options if not. So I'm really excited. And like you said, defense, I think, is really, while we don't have a lot of notable names outside of a few spots right now, I think that Gannon is really going to put them in a good position to succeed this year.
Yeah, I agree. And plus, Jalen Hurts wasn't getting the first team reps last year too. So I mean, imagine a full off season.
Real quick, just sorry to interrupt you, but going off of that, I mean, they had him practicing as a gadget player, like the first however many weeks of the season, Like,
yeah, exactly. So it's just like, hey, having a pinch hitter, come off the bench, and 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do well because they're not warmed up. I mean, they wasn't expected to be in that game at that time. But I think he did very well last year. He came in the Saints game, nobody besides even the Philadelphia Eagles fans, honest truth, did not believe that we could beat the Saints last year. So I'm not going to lie. You know what I mean? So a lot of Philadelphia Eagle fans did not think that we could beat the Saints, especially first time. But we had the advantage because the Saints haven't seen tape on Jalen Hurts. So that's what I'm saying. This year coming up, there's no tape on Nick Sirianni. What tape you gonna look at? I mean, with the Colts, what Frank Wright was the head leader over there. He was the play calling. So what what tape are you gonna look at for JG? He wasn't never a defense coordinator. So it's a lot of unknown on the Eagles. On an Eagle fan base and the other team that's about to play the Eagles. So I believe that we have the advantage. So, hey, I like our chances. I'll take it any day of the week. So, I mean, it is what it is. And we just have to see how everything turned out. If injury is the biggest thing, if we could get through training camp and preseason with zero injury, we could do some damage in the NFC East.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think just to finish up, too, I think talking about Jonathan Gannon, like you talked about with not having film on them. I mean, Gannon's a guy, they brought over a couple guys who played with him in Minnesota, and Wilson and Anthony Harris and Nate Neorders. And you look at that, and then you look at, they also brought over Shaquille Taylor from Indianapolis who played in there. So that kind of tells us, just off of some of those moves alone, he's going to bring over concepts from Minnesota, but he's also going to bring over concepts from his time in Indianapolis. And same with Sirianni, like I was saying, like coached in 3 different spots before he came here. It's not just going to be a replica of what they did in Indianapolis. It's going to be different concepts that are implemented from each stop that they've each been at. So, I think you make a great point there with not having film on them because you just don't know what to expect. There's going to be a lot of variety, I think, on both sides of the ball.
Exactly. Hey, before we move on, hey, shout out to the people that's in the chat. Big Play Slay, Philly Girl 76, Coach Dante, Eagles champ. Hey, thank you for joining this live stream, and hopefully y'all get some knowledge after we get done. All right, so let's move on to the next question. All right, so how much better do you expect a Jalen Reagor and the wide receiver group to be? These last year were.
Yeah, right. This is definitely a pressing question coming into this year. I mean, you look at Jalen Reagor last year, obviously coming from the Big 12, he didn't face a lot of press coverage, right? You're getting a lot of off coverage. It's a conference that doesn't have the best defense. It's not really known for its defense. So Reagor, a lot of times, was able, even with off coverage, he was just able to blow by guys, who were just able to, run his routes with ease. Whereas last year, you see him in the beginning of the year get pressed. Guys were getting in his grill, getting hands on his chest, and just forcing him to the sideline on those go routes down the field, right? I think at the end of the year, you saw some improvement where he was learning how to swipe their hands away and make sure he could still get on his route, right? Like there were still little things he's got to clean up, how he releases at the line and all that. Like Jason Avant's talked about it a lot, but the potential's still there. Like he's still got a lot of potential to be that Z receiver in this offense. I think he's going to play, I think Devontae is going to play all 3 spots. Wherever they need him to go, I think he's going to go, right? Yeah. Even though he's not your typical like big body, go get it X receiver, he can do that. He's got the hops to do it. And he's got, even though, people can criticize his weight, but he's taken a lot of hits with that frame even.
Absolutely. SEC too. And he played in that SEC, the toughest conference there is.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people talk about him coming over the middle of the field. I mean, which linebacker is going to catch him even if he catches the ball? So, I mean, the only person who's gonna put him in danger there is going to be Jalen Hurts, which, it might happen a few times here and there, but I think Devontae is going to be more durable than people expect. So going off of that, having him just as either the first read and then Reagor as the second read to turn to, or having Devontae as a decoy to take defenders with him down the field, just stuff like that, I think is going to benefit Reagor so much. And I think he's going to be able to flank off the line, meaning that he's going to be able to play one of those guys who plays a few yards off the line of scrimmage. So he's not even going to face press coverage a ton of the time whereas last year he was put at that X spot where he's like right at the line of scrimmage and he had to go right upfield and try to win in press coverage, which again, I think he improves versus press coverage, but I don't want him facing it every time. And, he's going to play in the slot a little bit as well as the outside. So I think they're going to move him around. And I think Reagor specifically, I have a lot of hopes for. I don't want to make any stat predictions, but I think either way, regardless of what stats he puts up, I think he's going to be a good contributor. And by that, I mean, I don't think he's going to have 300 yards again.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and even
he only
that,
could
he was
get better
last year, too.
And 300 yards, I think he only could get better. And he missed the first 4 games.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So I think you look at him, you look at Fulgham too. Fulgham again, like I said, can he build off that stretch? I think one of my concerns is that he was kind of running the same routes a lot of the time that he was having
Mhm.
success on. Not all the time. He did show that he can run a variety of routes, but I want to see can he do a little bit more than that this year? Because corners kind of caught on to it. It seemed like a little bit. Maybe that was just me being a little bit nitpicky, but I think Bradbury adjusted the second time we played the Giants because Fulgham still had, even though Alshon was back that game, Fulgham still played about 88% of the snaps, I believe, and didn't really produce, but at the same time wasn't really targeted either. So I want to see, can he be kind of integrated into the play game plan? I want to see with Fulgham especially. I want to see them utilize him in the red zone anymore. You remember that Dallas catch
Yeah.
in Week 8 where they just threw it back shoulder. Carson was having a rough game, but he put that ball on the money, and Fulgham comes down with it with ease because he just
The
knew how to
San
beat.
Fran game, the San Fran game.
Exactly. Exactly. That catch as well. I mean, and then you look at even the Ravens game when Carson just chucked the ball up to him and he went up and
Yep.
got it. So like catches like that. Like, I want to see him. I want to see him even in the slot in the red zone, just over the middle of the end zone, right? I want to just see him utilized in a different way, whether you can get him in the middle of the end zone, isolate him on the outside. I think that Fulgham, you need to utilize his big catch ability and his ability to go up and get it at the catch point as well and show his hands late, right? And even so, like, I think he's a guy in the red zone. If you're going to run the ball too, he's a ferocious run blocker. I mean, he's going to go out there and destroy whichever cornerback he's lining up against. Like, it's kind of like J-Jaw. J-Jaw is a good run blocker too, but obviously he's a little bit limited in what he can do. You look at the rest of this group. Hightower, I think, is a very good route runner. Jason Avant said he thought he was the best route runner of the bunch, but I think he's got to get a little bit better at ball tracking, a little bit better at not being afraid to take a hit, right? I think we saw that a few times last year.
Yeah, we saw that last year against the Ravens. We should have went up. Exactly. He was wide open, but he saw the guy corner of his eyes, and he just dropped a wide open pass.
Exactly. So, I mean, if he can utilize his route running ability, he's going to be a really nice backup, and maybe he develops into a starter. But again, I don't know if it's focus drops. I don't know if it's a mental thing. If it's a mental thing, that's going to be hard to overcome. It's going to be kind of like alligator arms Aguilar again. So, and then the last guy I want to touch on is Quez. I mean, Quez, I think, is going to be, regardless of what his role is, I think he's going to contribute because I think he's going to be a guy who you hand the ball to him off on a jet sweep. You get him on screen pass. I mean, remember that screen pass against Arizona where it was busted and he spins around and takes it all the way.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, I think Quez is still going to be a key part of this offense. So a little bit long-winded, but this is a group I'm really excited about. So what's kind of your take on these guys? Like, I want to hear what you think about, especially Fulgham specifically. What do you kind of think about him coming into this year and the other guys?
Look, I love Fulgham. I feel like the only reason why he lost his confidence last year was because we inserted Alshon Jeffries. Like, if we never took him out the starting lineup, because we was paying Alshon Jeffries like $10 million a year, and Howie Roseman was like, no, I'm not paying him to sit on the bench. And that's what I'm afraid of that might happen again this year with Zach Ertz if he stays, because he's making $8.5 million. And Dallas Goedert, he's still trying to negotiate his contract. So, but with that being said, if we do keep Zach Ertz with Zach Ertz and Goedert, it's definitely going to take pressure off a wide receiver group.
Yeah.
Because, hey, those two guys on the field at the same time is ridiculous. With Smith, with Sanders in the backfield, so Reagor should be like the fourth option. Like, so he should be open. Like, I mean, he should have the worst defensive player on him. If you put Goddard, Hurts, Smith, and then you got a Fulgham on the outside. So I mean, this wide receiver core. But and my only question is, who's going to make the team? Like you made a convincing argument for all of them to stay, but they all can't stay. I mean, they all can't stay. So I really want to see who's going to make the team, because it's going to depend. If JJ makes the team, the Philadelphia fans are going to go crazy, because we're going to cut either Hightower or Quez or Ward.
Exactly.
So, like, Greg Ward to me remind me of Jason Avant. He's reliable. Exactly. Like, he's not going to complain about touches and stuff like that, but he's there when you need him. He makes the big catch against Washington in 2019, against Josh Norman. All-pro corner, and this is an ex-quarterback that turned wide receiver that caught the winning touchdown against Josh Norman. So he has potential. And I don't want to see him go. So I love a wide receiver core, but we're going to have to let someone leave. And I'm hoping it's JJ and we keep everybody else. If the NFL, put the same rule in place as last year of COVID, because last year the team was allowed to dress 56 on game day because of COVID. Yes. So if that happens, then we could constantly dress 5 wide receivers, and we'll be at least a little bit we'll feel a little bit better because we're not able to cut someone that's very, very good. So I love our wide receiver core. I can't wait for training camp to start on the 27th to actually see who's going to beat who out. Who's going to be. I mean, we're all thinking that Fulgham should be that third wide receiver, but we don't know. This is a brand new coaching staff. It's competition. Exactly. It's open competition. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and I think going off your point with Greg Ward too, I mean, you look at the Arizona game last year, he didn't have a lot of catches, but he had 2 touchdown catches in that game, and I think he had another third down catch. On third down especially, man, he just comes through. And in the red zone too, he's such a reliable target. So he's a guy you can have guys with higher ceilings than him, but you could never replace a guy like a Jason Avant or a guy like Greg Ward. Because they're so good in those situations, and they know that they need to get it done, and they come through when they need to get it done. So you can't take away that clutch ability, and you don't know if the other guys have it too. So yeah, I mean, even J-Jaw, I've been very generous when I've been critical of him because he's not a good wide receiver, right? But even last year, I tried to see the good in him. I watched a lot of tape on him. There were a lot of times where he played in the slot or in line close to the formation where he did win on his routes. He did have some nice routes. And, there are some big body slot guys. The one that always comes to mind for me is Keenan Allen and Larry Fitzgerald. Yep. But, maybe J-Jaw can reach that, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Jones. Here. Yeah, exactly. He can play in this. A lot of guys can play all 3 spots. And that's why I think they tried to cross-train J-Jaw to all 3 different spots his rookie year, which, obviously wasn't really good for him because he struggled mightily at all 3 spots and probably would have been best if he specialized. But, maybe he can be that. I think that's kind of what – I think Jason Avant said he thinks he could be a slot too. I think that's kind of what his future is at this point. But I just don't know. I think he needs a change of scenery if he's going to get done. I just don't think it's going to happen in Philadelphia.
All right, real quick, before we move on, Eagle Champ. Yeah. Do you think we're going to trade for Xavier Howard?
It's a tough one. Like Eagles champ, I also want him too. I really do want Xavier Howard. I just don't think the proposed trades by Bleacher Report are going to get it done. I actually talked to Joe. What's up, Joe? Good to see you, man. I actually talked to him about it the other day, and we were saying if that trade gets done, whether that's Ertz or Barnett, we will buy their plane ticket to Miami because if that happens, however, I mean, Xavier Howard's an all-world corner. He had 10 picks last year, and even you just look at the plays where he didn't have picks. I mean, the man was just able to lock down guys and take him out of the game. So if there's any way you can get him if the price is right, I think you go do it. But I don't see it happening. What do you think?
Well, I was all on board. But until because right now his biggest complaint is he wants more money because for somehow Byron Jones, he got he's making $9 more million than him, and he only had 2 picks, compared to his 10. But I'm thinking if he leaves Miami, would he still feel the same way? Because he's not on that same team with the guy that's making more than him, because he will automatically be the highest paid corner on our team. So I'm hoping that even if he wants more money, I'm hoping that Miami eat all that money up. We trade him the first round pick back, a Barnett. I don't care. And just give them whatever they want, Besides one first though, but nothing else. And then Barnett or JJ or whatever. But then next year we could give Howard a bonus. You know what I mean? A bonus instead of trying to redo the whole 4-year, $75 million contract. So I mean, I want him, but could we afford him? I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree.
I do not think so. All right. So what concerns you have with the coaching staff, if any?
Yeah. So I think my biggest concerns, honestly, I mean, I really do like a lot of the coaching staff, and I think we'll talk about that too. I would say special teams I'm a little concerned about because, Dave Phipp, I mean, the group wasn't great the past few years. Let's be honest. Obviously, it wasn't.
Yeah.
We had that blocked punt against Arizona. We gave up some kick and punt return touchdowns over the past few years that we just did in the past. Like, it wasn't the same as when we had Chris Maragos in there playing on special teams and all those guys, there were still some bright spots, like Rudy Ford was getting a tackle about every time he was on punt coverage or kick coverage. But, I think, I believe it's Michael Clay. I'm not sure what his kind of experience looked like, what his resume looks like. So I'm just not sure what to think of him yet. So I want to see it before I, make any projections on him. So it's not even that I'm worried about him, but I just kind of I'm kind of pumping the brakes on, like, just saying the whole coaching staff is great because I want to see what he can do first with special teams group. And I hope he does great because special teams, I think people forget, like, even outside of kicking and punting, just getting down there and getting that tackle on a punt or kick, right? Or just making sure you get good field position. I mean, that's a big part of the game. Winning the field position battle in a low scoring game is what will win and lose you football games sometimes. So, I think you look at him, trying to think on the offense. I really like our offensive coaching staff from, I think it's Singletary is our new running backs coach, who I was reading up on the other day. He's coached a lot of talent. Brian Johnson, I think, is a great quarterbacks coach. Aaron Moorhead, I'm glad we brought him back. Jason Michael, I think, is a good tight ends coach. He worked with a lot of talent in Indianapolis. And Jeff Stoutland. I mean, Jeff Stoutland, that's not even up for debate. He's one of the best in the league. And Tracy Rocker, defensive line, Nick Rallis, linebackers coach. I believe the initial defensive backs coach who we hired, I believe, ended up leaving, I think. You can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I believe he opted out, and then we had to hire a new one. So that's a little bit of a concern because we have such a young group there.
Yeah. I mean, I think, look, this is Nick Sirianni handpicked coaches. I believe with Nick Sirianni, to me, remind me of a Sean McVay, but he don't talk like Sean McVay. He don't walk like Sean McVay. He's not as good looking as Sean McVay, but his intelligence to the game, like, he picked the right people around him. He knew that JG, he never been a defensive a DB coach before, a defensive coordinator before, but still, he's seen enough potential in him to say, you know what, I'm going to give you an opportunity. And because of JG, and this is how I know that we have the right coaching staff. Anytime you have players follow you, just because they know who you are, then they are in good hands.
Right.
The Harris signing would never happen if we didn't have JG. The Wilson signing would never happen if we didn't have JG. So, I mean, I feel like that we are in great hands. A lot of people is making fun of our head coach because of the rock, paper, scissors type of thing. But I feel like it was just an icebreaker. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so if you go,
right.
Yeah. So if you go into an interview, and I mean, the first thing to ask you is what? Tell me about yourself. I mean, if you can't talk about yourself, then I don't need you to even interview because that's an easy question. So I think the icebreaker, the paper, rock, scissors thing was an icebreaker, to kind of ease the players. That's also his first time too. So I mean, I love his personality. I love the people that he got around them. Like, if you see the training tape audios, like, you really see what this coaching staff is about. Attention to detail, holding the ball the proper way, the fumbles, like eyes, like watching the D-back, feet, his hips, if he moves a certain way. I mean, all that pumps me up. I feel like that we are in great hands. I love our coaching staff. I feel like our special team is going to be better than next year, but I'm trying to figure out who's going to return kicks. I'm hoping that they keep Killings and give him an opportunity to return because of his speed, of his agility, of his shiftness and stuff like that. But I mean, but from what I can see so far, I love our coaching staff. I love our coaching staff.
Yeah, I think you talk about Killings too real quick. I mean, the one game he played against San Francisco, he was only used as the motion man on the line. Like, they only brought him in the jet sweep motion, then they handed off to him like once, and they didn't get the blocks downfield and they lose like 12 yards. So it's like, he really didn't even get an opportunity. We can't base it off of that. And only concern I have with Killins is if he is a little bit of a smaller guy, but again, like I don't want to see, I love Greg Ward and Boston Scott, but I don't want them returning punts and kicks next year.
No.
Like I want to see, even though Kenny Gainwell didn't do it in college, I want to see if he can do it. I want to give him a shot in preseason to kind of prove himself. Like Hightower did it in college. Maybe he can provide some value there. Maybe Quez can return punts. Maybe you try Jason Huntley at kicks because he did that at New Mexico State. So yeah, going off of that real quick. And then, yeah, just talking about like the guys following to where Gannon came. I mean, that's huge too, because he has a good report. And I think the report about Sirianni too, like with him, there's some concerns about him leading the team. I mean, I would honestly hope that's the case rather than there not being concerns for one, because he's only been here for OTAs. I mean, he hasn't coached a single game yet. Yeah. So I would be a little bit more concerned if they were completely sold he was going to win a Super Bowl this year. And two, I think there's 90 guys on the roster right now. Like, are we really going to listen to maybe like the seventh string cornerback who's, saying, hey, I didn't say it, but, maybe I'm a little bit concerned.
Anybody saying anything at all. I mean, that's if anybody saying anything at all. I mean, they might just be just making up rumors. Just write a story.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't really put much stock into that. I think he's actually going to be great with his locker room and his culture that he's bringing here. And it takes time to implement that too. Like it takes time to get guys to buy into what you're kind of building, both in terms of your system and in terms of your culture. So it's going to take time, and he has to earn that respect. And I don't have a single problem with that. So I'm looking forward to these coaches, man. I think they're going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love it. Like if you could see, like Andy Reid wasn't a popular hire. Doug Peterson wasn't a popular hire.
Those didn't play ball before.
Chip Kelly came out of college. He wasn't really a popular hire. Nobody knew what he was going to do. And then Doug Peterson was like a last minute. I mean, they wanted other coaches. Hey, they didn't get the big names. It was, all right, hey, we'll settle for the Andy Reid era. Hey, come on back, Doug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Nick Sirianni, look, I believe that this year, because there's no pressure on this team at all. Like, nobody picked the Philadelphia Eagles to do crap. Like they pick us to finish the bottom of the basement. So I believe with no pressure, this team, for some odd reason, rise up when they are underdog. I don't know why they wait that long, because we literally got to think ourselves out of a 4-6, and then we got went out. Like I'm tired of that. Why not just start off? But this year we're starting off as underdogs, and this offseason, all the rumors, all the disrespecting, all the rankings. It's ridiculous. I've never seen the Philadelphia Eagle players get disrespected this much this offseason ever. Yeah. This is my first time. Like Fletcher Cox, his work ethic. Miles Sanders, ranked 27. Jalen Hurts is ranked 40. There's 32 teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
How you rank a guy number 40? There's only 32 teams.
Yeah, so when you rank his O-line top in the league, too.
Yeah, and you rank backups then. That means that all the rookies that came in is way better than Hurts. The backup to the rookies are better. The backup to the backup is better than Hurts. So what kind of hot mess is that? So that's why I feel like the Philadelphia Eagles, even Lane Johnson said it, hey, we going to come in hungry. Hey, there's no pressure on us. We have something to prove. And I love it. I love it. Yeah. I love it. If I could do it all over again, I'd do the exact same thing this offseason. I write nothing but negativity about the Philadelphia Eagles so the players could come in hungry this time. Instead of trying to go on a late playoff push, the last second.
Yeah, so. Right. And I mean, talk about Lane Johnson. He was also disrespected. Apparently, he's not a top 10 offensive tackle in the league. So,
yes, sir. All right. So how good can the O-line be this year if healthy?
Yeah, I mean, I got to agree with Bobby Murphy and Eagles Powerhouse Nation. Like, this can be a top 3 offensive line if healthy. I mean, you look at last year with all the injuries. I mean, we had to start Jamon Brown one game because of how injury-prone our offensive line was. And we were still middle of the pack despite all of that. And I think, Carson, I was a big Carson fan when he was here, and Carson defender. But at the same time, I'm not afraid to admit, like, he walked himself into a lot of sacks at times, even when he had protection,
did.
right? And I think that's something, everyone can agree on. I mean, if you
Yeah.
deny that, I think you're a little over the top for Carson. We do have some of those Carson fans still here, and I respect it. But I think at times he walked himself into too many sacks, and there were times, even Jalen Hurts, not so much, but there were times where he would try to run to the sideline, he'd run out of bounds, and technically a sack. But I think it wasn't even all their fault. Sometimes it was just they had, like, I know everyone's gonna remember this, but like, they didn't have the same group, I don't think, any 2 weeks in a row. I mean, how are you supposed to, like, you need to know who's playing next to you, because there's just some things that, like, silent communication that you just need to know and just see, like, based on how the defensive front is, that you guys just got to communicate. I mean, for God's sake, we had Driscoll and Herbig out there week 1 on the right side, and to their credit, I mean, they did as good as they probably could have, considering
and
that
they never practiced before that together.
Exactly. So, I mean, you look at Driscoll, I mean, first NFL start, COVID offseason. I'm going to bring that up with all the rookies from last year, no preseason. And, obviously it's a little bit different when he got a little banged up during the year, because it's a little bit different going up against NFL athletes and college athletes. And he's going to be used to that wear and tear this year. I think he's going to be ready for it, especially since we'll be doing more padded practices than we did with Dougie P, hopefully. But, I think Driscoll, I mean, he wasn't even ready for that. Herbig, I mean, he hadn't played. He was undrafted the year before, hadn't played. But considering that, I think Jeff Stoutland had them in the best position ready possible to go out there and compete. So I think you consider all of that. You consider Jordan Mailata's even in left tackle conversation after being drafted 7th round a few years ago. Consider we added Dickerson as a depth piece. Like, all the guys that had to play last year are going to be second strings, third strings this year. Like, you look at even you look at what's his name? I'm trying to forget. I forget. But Matt Pryor, who I don't know if he's gonna make the roster, but like Matt Pryor,
I don't think
he's not a good player. But I mean, worst comes to worst, you have a guy who, compare him to like other 3rd and 4th strings in the league who are going for roster spots. He's had a lot more experience than those guys. And, it goes back to when we had Vitae too. I mean, he was the guy who he had his ups and downs, but at the end of the day, he started that whole end of the year to the Super Bowl. And that's a testament to Jeff Stoutland. So, I mean, we have a lot of depth there. I think, even if we do get hurt, I think we're going to be able to manage, but I don't think we're going to be as banged up as we were last year, and pretty much the whole league was banged up last year. So
I mean, look, I feel very comfortable with the offensive line going in the season. Even I'm knock on wood, but even if an injury happened on the offensive line, I still feel good because of the experience the backup had last year. I mean, they basically played the whole season. Like, we didn't have, besides Kelsey, however way they want to pronounce their name, besides the center, like, nobody else played all 16 games. Like, I mean, that's unbelievable. Like, I mean, so I feel like with a healthy offensive line and the competition and the motivation, if Lane Johnson, look, I need him to stop tweeting. I need him, because he was the biggest disappointment to me last year on the offensive line. Yes, and we all know that JP was not even supposed to be playing for the Philadelphia Eagles last year. That was a desperate move. So look, it is what it is. And he sucked now, but okay. But Lane Johnson needs to stay healthy. He hasn't played a full season in 3 years. Like, I need him to stay healthy. So, and stop tweeting. Yes. Yeah. Hey, y'all see the disrespect? Okay. Hey, just print it out, put it on the wall somewhere, and use that as motivation. But I need y'all to stay healthy. Hey, if the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line stay healthy, I mean, it's easily a top 5 group. I mean, that's why I pick us being the number 1 or the number 2 rushing team with Jalen Hurts, with Miles Sanders, with Gainwell, with Johnson or Howard or Scott. I mean, look, I feel very, very comfortable going into this season better than last year because of the experience that the backup to the backup to the backup to the backup had, because that's how injured we were. I mean, that Brown kid, Jerome Brown. This dude was fixing his glove while Carson Wentz was getting sacked. Like, that's the type of street players we were just bringing them in, the street players, the day of the game. The day of the game. Hey, you play that? All right, come on. Hey, we'll use you. I mean, that's how pathetic we were on the offensive line last year. So it could only get better, and experience. I feel like that we are the only team in the division that says, hey, if our main guy go down on the offensive line, we have a capable backup.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
yeah. I mean, you look at Dallas's offensive line when they crumbled last year. I mean, they were pitiful, and that's the thing this year. Everything I've been looking up on them and reading and everything, everyone says if Dallas's offensive line, if all five are not healthy, they are in trouble. And that's not the case with us, I don't think. I think you look at New York. I mean, even I think a lot of people think it's all on Daniel Jones. I think a lot of it is because he has new weapons this year and he's got to perform. But at the same time, I think you look at his offensive line, they lost their best guy in Kevin Zeitler this offseason. And, they have a lot of youth there. They have a lot of potential, but it's not proven yet. And I think if anyone gets hurt there, they're in trouble. Washington, I also think they stayed healthy last year on the O-line for the most part, but they still have a lot of question marks if they get injured. But I think you look back at us. I mean, again, and like Bobby Murphy said, like Dickerson, you can't forget about him because he can play left. He can play left guard.
All five positions, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It makes me think of Vera Tucker, who went to the Jets. But especially like if Brandon Brooks goes down or if Sam Allen goes down, you can put Dickerson right in there. You can put him at center if you need him to. And if let's say Kelsey and one of the guards went down, I mean, you have Luke Jceaglestalk, who a lot of people don't talk about. He was our highest paid undrafted free agent from 2020. They used him in 6 offensive lineman sets last year. And the reason he went undrafted was more so because he was undersized. Who was that when he got drafted? Jason Kelsey in the 6th round out of Cincinnati. And Jceaglestalk, when he got drafted, I talked to Mike Kay on Twitter. I was tweeting to him about the end of the draft, and he thinks that if we hadn't drafted Casey Toohill with that 7th round pick, we would have drafted Jceaglestalk. So he was definitely on the caliber of a 6th, 7th round pick. And, let's say Dickerson needs to play one of the guard spots and then needs someone else to play center. You could also do that. You could put Herbig at one of the guard spots and put Dickerson at center. Like, these guys can move around. So I'm excited about that. Driscoll can play right guard if you need him to. Mailata can go over to right tackle if you need him to. Like, there's a lot of options we have here. Only guy who really can't move around is Diller. So
and I feel like he's gonna lose out to the left tackle spot. But imagine if he's able to move to left guard.
Yeah.
And have Mariota, Dillard, Kelsey, Brooks, Johnson. Who's getting through that line?
No one.
That's what I'm saying.
Not a defensive line in the league.
So yes, hey, that's what I'm saying. Hey, real quick, if you're watching this live, man, and you're not subscribed to my man Philly Insider, yo, he's dropping knowledge. He know every single player, back up to the back up to the back up to the back up. Yo, he's on fire. So please, the link is below. Subscribe to my man here. And you already know, if you didn't subscribe to my channel, then you missing out, because this upcoming season, I have some fantasy advice. I had some waiver wire advice. I had some sit-em and start-em advice. I have injury report coming up, and it's going to be on fire with Coach Dante. We're partnering up together. So you need to subscribe and hit that like button. It's free 99. Come on now. Just click that button for me. All right. So let's move on real quick. All right. So
I like that. Free 99.
Free 99, man. So what is a realistic goal for this team this upcoming season? Like, hey, because I spoke to some Philly content creators. They got us winning 5-6 games, and some guys winning 11-12 games. And I'm on the higher side of it. So I'm gonna let you go first.
All right. So yeah, I think with this team, I think there's a lot we have to consider with the upcoming year. And I'll say my prediction first, or not prediction, my realistic goal. I think they should aim for the Super Bowl, obviously. But, I think a realistic goal is probably around 8 or 9 wins. While I think their ceiling could be 10, 11 wins, I think their floor is 6 to 7 wins. And here's why. I think, like you said, we're going to start off the year with an advantage without a lot of film on us. Yes. As teams get more film on us, I think there's going to be a couple games where we maybe go through a slump because they're adjusting to our tendencies, and maybe we'll have to adjust back. I trust us to adjust back. I think that we have a smart coaching staff. So I think you have to account for that. I think you have to account for the fact that there's going to be times where the young guys just don't execute, right? Like, there's going to be times where it's not on the coaching staff, and that's how you learn, right? They're going to get better at it. They're going to do it better the next time. And it's just the little things that end up causing a play to maybe fall apart that, they're going to have to get better at. So I think that we have to account for that. But also, I think, you're going to see this young team start to come together at the end of the year. And, even with 8 or 9 wins, I think you have a lot of the division and the Jets the rest of the year. Like you should
Yes.
be able to take care of business. And no matter what position all these divisional teams are in, like at least in this era right now that we're in, it is always a close game in the NFC East. Rarely is
It
there a
is.
blowout in this division, right? Even when we won the Super Bowl, the Giants gave us a run for our money both times. Even the second time where Foles didn't start out very well and we were losing by 2 touchdowns a game. Even 2018 when we went down, I remember we had Cravon LeBlanc, Shannon Sullivan, and Devontae Bosby starting at corner one game. And we had had those 3 starting against Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, and whoever their third receiver was that year. And we went down 22-3, but then we came back and won 25-22. So like these games are always close. And ending the year on that, I think that you look at that and you can probably win some of those games, right? Like you will compete in those games. And I think this year, like while my prediction is 8 or 9 wins, I think they can compete, maybe not the Bucs and the Chiefs, because I think those are going to be tough games. I think they can compete in every single game this year. And I think they're a young team with a lot of grit, a lot of heart. That's what we love about, our athletes in the city. And I think they can definitely give every team a run for their money. I just have concerns about them closing out games. So I think, even if it's not this year, like you look at 2016 to 2017, like 2016, Carson's rookie year, we had a lot of trouble closing out games that year. Like the Giants game in MetLife, I remember that one where there was a 4th down and we had Jordan Matthews, and there was another 4th down in that game where Doug called the read option on 4th and 2 with Carson Wentz. Didn't understand that call.
Against the Lions, Matthew fumble. I mean, all
Matthews
these easy games that we couldn't close out.
Exactly. We had a lot of games that year. I remember the second Washington game where we were driving downfield and then Wentz got sacked from the blind side. And, there's a lot of games. But then 2017, the young team got better and they learned how to close out games. And I think, I hope they can this year. My hope is that they can this year, right? I hope I'm wrong, and I hope they win, 11, 12 games at their ceiling, right? I hope that Jalen Hurts has an MVP caliber season. But I think next year they will be ready to close up those games. But I'm not ruling it out this year. Like I think this year, again, like people are counting us out, like you said. We always thrive in that role. I mean, I think it's a role that we're just fit to take on. So I'm excited for it. But I think there's a lot of different factors that kind of surround it. But yeah, what's your prediction on it?
All right, look at the first 6 games. If we could come out the first 6 games 3-3, then we're gonna be fine. All right, so we got the Falcons week 1, the 49ers week 2, the Cowboys week 3, the Chiefs week 4, the Panthers week 5, and the Bucs week 6. So if we could escape that 3-3, 500, we are sitting pretty, because I feel like the Bucs, the Cowboys, the first division game is going to be tough. We don't know at what depth we're going to get, and we're going to Jerry World. And the way the schedule is shaped up, home, away, home. It's just like all up in the air. So if we could escape the first 6 games, I think we're going to be okay. I got us going 11-6. So because I feel like the advantage we have is the unknown factor. Chip Kelly. Nobody was ready for that 6 seconds offense that he was running. I mean, it don't matter how much you train for it, but and game speed is different. Game time is different. So, and we had a little bit of advantage. So I feel like with the offensive of coaching set that we have, with the defensive coaching set that we have, both of them is preaching the exact same thing. There's no scheme. We're just gonna go in game by game. It reminds me of Bill Belichick syndrome. Like, you know what I mean? So Bill Belichick, you could never figure him out. That's why I never pick fancy players from the Patriots, because, hey, a guy goes off the week before with 4 or 5 touchdowns, and then the next week he's on the bench because that's not the game scheme. So I feel like with the game scheme that Nick's saying and the defense coordinator is saying, like, hey, people straight up ask him, what scheme do you plan on running? He said, we ain't got no scheme. Okay, I like it. Yeah. In that case, so how could you adjust to a team that you can't figure out week by week? Yeah. Right. So I feel like the first 6 weeks, if we could get through the gauntlet, which I call the first 6 weeks, young team, young coach. We don't know how the offense is going to gel, how the defense is going to gel. So 6 weeks, I give them 6 weeks. And then after that, Yeah, we got the Raiders, the Jazz, the Lions. You know what I mean? So we should start winning some more winnable games. You know, hey, Jalen Hurts should be okay. Settle down a little bit. Nick Sirianni, play calling. You know, should start making more sense to him, and offensive line. And I mean, and it's all going to depend on health too. Health is the major thing. If we could stay healthy, we could definitely win 11 games. So 11-6, I got us going. The lowest I see us is 8-9. Like, come on now. If we can't win 8 games, there's 17 games, man. It's 17 games. And we got the Jets and the Lions in there. Even the I'm not worried about the Giants. Like, I don't know if you are. I'm not worried about the Giants. I mean, the past 22 meetings, we are 17-5 with the Giants. 17-5. Hey, we own you. Like, you should be paying us rent. Because in that stadium, that Giant stadium, we had so many damn miracles in there. Like, we probably have more miracles in that Giant stadium than they do. So that's our stadium. So that's 2 home games right there. So the Cowboys is going to be, like I said, the week 3 is going to say a lot because Dak was still. How is Dak going to trust his ankle? You know what I mean? Is he going to feel confident? Like, where's he going to be at? But if we beat the Cowboys week 3, we definitely going 12-5 because I got that as a loss. So I got us winning the last game, week 18 at the Link, Cowboys versus Eagles. So if we beat the Cowboys week 3, we definitely going to win 12 games.
Right.
And I also got us surprising the Buccaneers because it's a short week. They come into Philly Thursday night, all black jerseys. And you know how, the Philadelphia Eagles play great in primetime games.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we always perform. We always show up. We went to Lambeau Field, primetime game, short week, and beat the Packers at their house. So I'm telling you right now, we have the veteran presence enough to shock a few teams. So,
yeah. I mean, what happened last year when Brady played the guy who beat him in the Super Bowl on a short week last year, who didn't even have a great season with Chicago, but ended up winning. And I know the Saints game wasn't a primetime game, but I feel like 425 has become like a big time game on Fox. Like, that's a big time game. So I think you look at that game last year against the Saints. I mean, going off your point about Chip Kelly too, even that year we didn't even start off that great because Vic had injury problems and then Foles had to get up to speed. What do you know? Foles throws that 7-touchdown game against Oakland then Oakland, and then they go on a run. And who we play midseason this year? Las Vegas Raiders. So a little bit of similarity there. But yeah, man, I mean, there's going to be a lot to figure out. You're getting me juiced up right now. Like, I'm ready. I didn't even think about that with the Bucs situation because, hey, anytime you get them on a short week, especially with those injuries too, because some guys don't end up playing. And who knows? I mean, the Bucs, if they have a couple injuries here and there, and also we signed Andrew Adams, who came over from the Bucs, maybe he'll be able to give us a little intel on what they're going to be running and all that stuff. So I'm excited, man.
Yeah, and the week before we played the Bucs, we played the Panthers. The Bucs, I believe, played the Dolphins. The Dolphins is going to be a tough team, a hard-hitting team. Oh, so how ready? I mean, win or lose, if the Bucs beat the Dolphins or not, how prepared, how ready are they going to be to jump on an airplane Wednesday? Because Mondays is usually the day off. So Tuesday, I mean, it's just a quick turnaround. You know what I mean? So we at home, we got the home field advantage, the home cooking and stuff like that. So I feel like that we shocked them that year, like that game.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So what is the most interesting Eagle Kent battle are you looking forward to?
Yeah, so I won't take the cop out and go with the left tackle because we already talked about that, and that's a big one, right? So I think the biggest ones I'm looking at, I'm going to pick 2 and cheat a little bit, but on the defensive side of the ball, I think outside of Eric Wilson, because Eric Wilson's the veteran, he's going to play almost every snap this year. I think he's still got to work in run coverage a little bit, even though he had a lot of tackles. A lot of them came a little further downfield, but he's still a good pass coverage guy. Like, he's going to play no matter what. Outside of him, what's it going to look like? Because TJ Edwards is a very good run stopper. Really great. Excellent. Right. Not really. Not sure if he can be a 3-down guy and play in pass coverage because he's a little limited with his speed, right? Singleton, we saw him was the leading tackler last year. Very good player. But he's still got some work to do in pass coverage as well, right? And then I think you factor in like I like Sean Bradley a lot. I think this is a guy we saw him last year. He stopped James Conner at the goal line in that Steelers game against the Saints when Josh Sweat got that 4th and 2 sack on Taysom Hill. It was because Emmanuel Sanders was going downfield and there was a void in the middle of the field, but Sean Bradley was responsible for it. He covered it up and took the throw away. So like, he's had some flashes, just hasn't played a ton. He played a lot on special teams, which I think is going to earn a roster spot. So did Edwards and Singleton, so they'll be in the mix too. And then I think Davion's an athletic freak. He's a guy who I actually mocked him in my mock draft to us in 2020. I had him mocked to us, but I had him in 4th or 5th round. I didn't think we'd get him round 3. I thought that was a little bit premature, but again, if he can combine his athleticism with, if he can kind of gain that football IQ and those instincts, I mean, he's going to be lethal because you see him out there on special teams lighting dudes up. And I remember I went back because I buy NFL Game Pass every year, and I went back and looked at a special teams play, and it wasn't on the TV copy. You couldn't see it, but you just see him like throwing guys to the sideline. Like it is so fun to watch. But can he earn a spot? What's it going to look like with him? So I think you have a lot of guys in the mix there, right? We need
question for you real quick. Kerrigan, do you think he might play a little bit a linebacker?
Great question. So I love that question because I think him and 2 other guys are going to play a little bit linebacker. So I think he's going to put his hand in the dirt, but I think he's also going to stand up and kind of play as that linebacker because they've been talking about it with Gannon. So I think it's going to be him because he's had experience doing it. I think it's going to be him. I think they're going to do it with Patrick Johnson, our 7th round pick, who I got to talk to Patrick before the draft this year, which was awesome. He's a great guy. He loves the game. His coaches used his notes from film study to teach to the whole Tulane defense last year. And he can move around a little bit. I saw him, not only did he stand up and rush, but if they want to kind of mix it up and kind of drop him back into coverage off that stand-up position, he can, because I saw him go out to the boundary and cover Kenny Gainwell and light him up on a screen pass. Like Patrick Johnson's a guy who I think is flying under the radar. I think he's going to be used in that same role. And I think Jannard Avery is going to be a stand-up rusher along with him and Kerrigan because Jannard kind of did that more so in Cleveland. I'm not sure if Jannard's going to make the team, but I think he's definitely fit. I think he's more fit for that role than he was for Jim Schwartz's defense. And then cornerback position. I mean, you have Slay, it's like Maddox, I think is going to end up starting at the outside spot, which in my opinion, he is a slot or he is a free safety. I don't think he's an outside guy, right? He doesn't have the size for it. I think we've all seen it, and I don't know why the Eagles think we can just go into the year with this game plan.
Why do you think that Maddox could play outside? I mean, do you know something that the Philadelphia Eagle fans don't know? Because I would pick a Jaquette, McPherson, or James before Maddox on the outside. So, I mean, do you know something that we don't know?
No, I agree with you. I think Maddox should either be in the slot or playing free safety. I don't think he should play on outside. I think, like you said, Jaquette, he has much more size than Maddox does for the position. He got torched in that Dallas game, but I think partially that was because Jim Schwartz put him on an island with no safety help, which I didn't think was a good idea. And then I think also you see Jaquette the year before. I mean, he played or not the year before, the week before, he played against D-Hop. And, I mean, he held his own against D-Hop in his first NFL start, to give him some credit. I think other than that, I am very concerned because I think McPherson, is going to end up being more of a slot. I hope he can be an outside guy. But, if we have to throw him into the fire, I worry about that a little bit with his, deteriorating a rookie's confidence that early. I think you got to know when to pull the plug, right? Like putting him out there to get reps, that's one thing. But if he starts to struggle a little bit and his confidence deteriorates, you got to pull. But if he does have the confidence and he goes out there and plays well, kind of like, I wasn't the biggest Jalen Mills fan, but to his credit, his rookie year, when we had Nolan Carroll and Liam Das McKelvin, I mean, Jalen Mills stood out because he had the confidence to go out there and guard an OBJ in his rookie year. So if McPherson can kind of show that, I mean, let's see what he's got. But I think, you look at him, you look at Craig James has not been healthy. I mean, he's been on the roster the past years. Like if you're going to be a backup, you got to be healthy, and you need someone who can at least be, and he's also a guy who they put in the slot. And we saw him Steelers game last year. He got thrown in against Claypool and a couple other guys. He gave up a few catches. I mean, again, he did have that nice play on that Thursday night game against Green Bay where he tipped it up to Bradham. But other than that, he's kind of been a special teamer. So there's a lot of question marks there. I don't trust a lot of the guys. I hope that the young competition will benefit them and that they will really thrive in it. And I wish the best for McPherson. He's a guy who it seemed like he was excited to get drafted here. I think he's a good kid, and I hope he can play the outside, and I hope I'm wrong on him. So I wish him the best because, again, if he does have the confidence, that dog in him, that's something that, hard work beats talent. That's all I say. So you can't really project that from draft, just scouting on draft night and all that. So, yeah, those are the two spots I'm really looking at right now is linebacker and corner. What about you, man?
Man, you don't kill my motivation after that speech. Good night. Like, man, Maddox on the outside is the worst nightmare for Philadelphia.
The death wish.
No, I don't know. Nah. Look, I could only hope that we play a lot of zone instead of man. Because I feel like with the safety, with McLeod, with Wallace, with Harris, we might play free safety like Bobby Murphy say. We definitely not going to play that little stick defense that Jim Schwartz always like to play. I mean, I'm tired of that because Jim Schwartz was the worst defense coordinator adjuster that I ever seen. Like your guys are getting Claypool beat us for 4 touchdowns. You let one guy get 4 touchdowns.
And the fourth one, you have Gary covering the middle of the field.
Exactly. So why not put your best corner, which was Slay, on Claypool? Just have him follow him around. I don't care about Washington. Like Washington haven't done nothing. If they go to Washington, okay, fine. But you got a guy that scored 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, and you still not adjusting, and you put the worst linebacker we have on him. Yeah, look, I'm sorry, but I could only hope that Jonathan Gannon, man, and JG I trust, because what you just told me was so depressing that like I thought it was gonna be a top 5 defense. After what you said, man, we might be a top 20. Like
no, I got you though. I mean, if you have I think as a sign of encouragement, I think Gannon is going to play a lot of cover 2 zone from what I'm getting. No, I do think we're going to play some zone, and I think we'll be able to mix it up a little bit. And like you said, Jim Schwartz did not make adjustments. So even if we are getting torched, maybe JG will be able to make the adjustment in the second half because that's the thing. Even when we got to the second half, it seemed like Jim Schwartz was doing the same thing. And he would come back the next week and adjust, and then we'd be like, all right, that's what you should have done in the 2 quarters last week instead of waiting for the next game. So
I mean, look, I can't wait the 27th. Man, look, health. I keep preaching health because for some odd reason, the injury bug get us every year. Even that Super Bowl year, we lost our starting quarterback, our starting middle linebacker in Hicks, our starting left tackle in Peters, our captain on the special team in Marigos, our star running back and Sproles at the time. You know what I mean? We lost. We constantly getting injured. I just want an injury-free season. That's all we. If we do that, if we are injury-free, I really believe that we have the team to shock the world this upcoming season because Jalen Hurts is a lot better than what people think. If you want to feel good about how good Jalen Hurts is, go watch his Alabama tapes and Oklahoma tapes. This dude is a baller. He got eyes in back of his head. He feels the pressure and he takes off and run. And he's mobile. He's thick. He know when to slide. He know when to get the hit. I mean, he's a very smart quarterback. I think he's a lot smarter than Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz wanted to take on anybody. You're a quarterback. He don't know how to slide. And that's how he got injured a few times. But look, I feel very confident. Once again, even though you almost killed my motivation, but I'm an Eagles fan. We always motivated. So, hey, this is my last question for you, man. Does Howie Roseman go or stay after this season? Everybody out there is dying to hear this answer.
Fingers crossed it's the latter. Or not the latter, the former, that he goes. Fingers crossed. But I think Jeffrey Lurie is going to extend it beyond 2022. And here's why I think that. Because he was the one who got Jalen Hurts, and he's the one who got these 3 first-round picks. So I think he's going to want to ride it out. and let him see what he does with these 3 first-round picks and what Jalen Hurts does this year and maybe next year too, before canning him. Because the only person, even though Howie got us into this whole debacle with everything that happened,
the salary caps, everything.
Exactly. He's the only one who can also get us out of it at the same time, because he's the one who created the mess. And that's the thing. Like, even with the salary cap, like, he is a wizard. And what you can do with the salary cap, I mean, time never ends. You can just keep moving it to the next year and the next year and next year and restructuring. So Howie knows that he's a businessman at the end of the day. So he's going to be able to get that done. And yeah, you know, I think this draft was a little bit better. I still kind of wish we would have gone with a cornerback in the first 3 rounds. Because I think that you had at that third round pick, you still had Benjamin St-Juste available. You had Ifeatu Melifonwu available, 2 cornerbacks who I thought could have been starting caliber, especially on the outside with their build and their technique. But hey, I mean, Howie's guy, he sticks to his philosophy in the trenches. I mean, that's the way he builds. That's the way he built the Super Bowl year. That's the way he's building right now, because we still haven't addressed the cornerback position. And again, like I said, businessman, like, he is not going to settle for Steven Nelson's price. He's going to make Steven Nelson wait it out for his price, whether we like it or not. And the thing is with Steven Nelson, like, I think Howie knows no one else is interested in giving him that price except for the Eagles are interested in it right now, because he would have been signed otherwise.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I think Howie, you know, I don't like him. I can't stand him. He's my least favorite GM in all of sports. But again, like I said, I think he's still going to be here, and Lurie's going to bring him back because it's Lurie's guy at the end of the day. So I don't know. Do you think there's any chance you encourage me that maybe he won't be here and maybe we'll get a change?
Like you said, he created. Okay, so it's just like setting the house on fire, and you try and play the hero. Like, you put us in this mess. Like, he's been pushing, like, all these players' salaries back every year. Man, we like, oh my God, we are so bad and salary cap hell. And then we get out of it. Like this year, 76 million. How the hell you get out 76 million? I don't know.
Just to interrupt real quick too, we would be able to sign Steven Nelson if he had got Zach Ertz off the book at this point. So continue.
Yeah. I mean, but nobody wants Zach Ertz. Howie gave him permission to go seek his own trade. But what he was hearing back was not sufficient for a Super Bowl winning tight end. He broke the NFL tight end reception that year we won the Super Bowl. I mean, he still got 3-4 good years left in him. So, I mean, look. So, all right. So, do you think Zach Ertz will be on the team? And if he stay on the team, will he be comfortable being a backup to Goddard? Because he is seeking a better contract. So how you gonna get your money if you playing backup? That's what I don't like.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think he's gonna show up to camp, because there's been talk that he will probably show up to camp at this point. It's 2 weeks away, and OTAs is one thing, right? Like, some guys with contract stuff, they don't show up to that. But, you know, training camp, if you don't show up to that, that's a whole nother message. I think Ertz knows, like, if he wants to play somewhere else next year, I think it's in his best interest to go out and play this year, you know, put up some numbers as the TE2 possibly, and still be on. You're still can run 2 tight end sets, but at the same time, I think, you know, and also from Howie's perspective too, like I think depending on how things play out, I have to look into the details of all of it. For Ertz, you could end up getting a comp pick next offseason if you end up keeping him around. So it depends. You know, obviously the return must not be of the same value as, you know, what we've been looking for in the comp pick. But at the same time, I think Joe Castro said this to me the other day. It's like, well, with Steven Nelson, it's like, if you cut Ertz and sign Steven Nelson, I'm not sure if we cut him this offseason if we get the comp, but if that was the case, like, you'd get that pick next year and you'd have Steven Nelson. So it's almost like, would you trade Ertz for Steven Nelson and that comp pick? I probably would. But I'm just not sure if it's like, you know, what the deal is with the comp pick and how it works and the timing of it and all that. I'd have to look into it, but I think he's going to stick around. Maybe, you know, even if he is here to start the year, he could still get traded at the deadline, right? Like, there was people interested last year. I think it depends if we're sellers. Even if we're not sellers, you could still get Ertz off the books. But, you know, I think it's in team's best interest too at this point, because outside of Rodgers, after Rodgers and Goddard, like you have a lot of projects there. You have Hakeem Butler and Tyree Jackson, who are both switching positions right now. You have Caleb Wilson and Jason Kroom, who are kind of unproven in the NFL. And then you have Jack Stoll, who's our undrafted free agent. But I think he has a good chance of making the roster. I've heard a lot of good things. So we'll see how he plays out. But, you do have a lot of question marks there, and Ertz kind of helps with that. But I think he's going to end up staying. What do you think? Do you think he's going to be here in training camp, or do you think he's not going to show up?
I need him to go.
Yeah, I agree. I want it to be over. I want it over.
Because I don't trust Howie Roseman staying out of the mix. Because last year, you saw how Doug Peterson and Howie was constantly bumping heads because Doug wanted to sit some people. Howie was like, no, I'm paying this guy. And they were bumping heads. So, like some people say that, hey, the Nick Sirianni hire was a puppet hire. You know what I mean? Hey, we could tell, Harry could tell them, hey, what to do, whatever. But I just don't want that bad chemistry. Everything right now I'm hearing from the Philadelphia Eagle locker room, the coaches, it's all like positive. Like even the old veterans, like, oh my God, I've never been like this hype before in my life because of Nick Sirianni and the coaching staff he has around him. But I don't want one guy to come in there. And of course, and the locker room is always going to be divided. You got some Hurts fans. Hey, we won the Super Bowl together. And then you're going to have some Goddard fans. You know what I mean? But I just don't want that bad chemistry to start off a young Jalen Hurts career because this is Jalen Hurts make or break year. If he don't succeed in Philadelphia, I believe that he will not ever be a starting quarterback again because no team is going to pick him to be a starting quarterback if they see what he's doing in Philly. And plus, I mean, hey, just look at all the experts. The only reason why Philadelphia Eagle is projected to be the worst team is because of Jalen Hurts. It's not because of Nick Sirianni, or missing CB2. It's because of Jalen Hurts. This is his make or break season. So I don't want no negativity, nothing but positivity. I love his workouts. I love his leadership. I love the way he's carried himself. He's blocking out all the tweets, all the rumors. I'm hoping he is, and just focus on him. And he's a proven winner. He won at Alabama. He won in Oklahoma. Heisman runner-up. This guy is a proven winner. I think he's way strong-minded than Carson Wentz. I mean, Carson Wentz didn't want no competition. He felt like, hey, everything was owed to him. You know what I mean? Because we moved heaven and earth to get him. So I just don't want no negativity. So if we could go in the season, if Hurts agree, hey, I'm number 2 because we have to find out what we have in Dallas Goedert. We have to. We're about to sign to a contract extension, just like Miles Sanders. These guys are tied. So, I mean, we don't want to start over again next year, a new tight end, new running back, and stuff like that. We need to find out what we have in these guys that are in contract year, Dallas Goedert. So Zach Ertz, that's why I don't believe that he's going to be okay with being a tight end number 2 if he's trying to get a new contract, and which is going to cause, drama within the locker room. So,
exactly. I mean, going off of Goddard too, like you said, he's coming up on a contract year. I know Bobby mentioned that Goddard gets injured a little too often. He has played 42 out of a possible 48 games, but at the same time, he has also been, he's also a bigger guy. Like we saw Gronk. Gronk had some injuries at times. When he's the TE1, will he take more hits? Will he be able to sustain? I think he will be able to, because like I said, he's only missed 6 career games. And he's been really, really productive when he's been on the field. So I'm looking forward to seeing Goddard, and I think he deserves an extension already, in my opinion. I think he's a guy he is going to be such a key target moving forward for this team. And I said it from his rookie year too to my friend. I told him I think he's got a higher ceiling than Zach Ertz. I think he's a guy just with his yards after contact, yards after catch, and his blocking ability too. I mean,
he's blocking, he's blocking, yep.
Exactly. And Goddard, in terms of blocking tight ends, it's him and Kittle at the top of the list. Those two guys, top 2, and it's a big gap between everyone else. So I think Goddard, he does so much for this fall team. And like you said, Miles Sanders too, we got to find out with him too, whether he's going to earn that contract. He's definitely not the 27th ranked running back in the NFL.
Absolutely not.
That's so far off. That's disrespect. Like even my friend said, who I was a little generous. I'm like, he's at least top 20. My friend's like, he's at least top 15. I'm right now.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what he can do.
He's at least top 15, top 10.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at, he's a great running back. He can get to the edge. He can run between tackles. He was a good receiver his rookie year. I know he had the dropsies last year, but I think, if we're going to get a little nitpicky, I mean, there were times where Carson did not, even in the checkdowns, Carson was so in his head that some of those throws did not get to Miles the way he would have liked it, or they were not delivered with a clean spiral. And then you look at his pass protection. It wasn't as great last year, but Miles Sanders' rookie year, I mean, he was just dominating him as a blocker when he was covering for the quarterback. I mean, so I think you consider all three facets of the running back position that he does so well. Even after last year where he had some issues, he was also underutilized too. I mean, if he's going to be utilized a little bit more this year, while also not being expected to go out there and carry the ball 300 times, like DeMarco Murray, who kind of ended the wear out, like he kind of faded out a little bit. I think Sanders is going to be just fine, but it comes down to RB position tends to be replaceable in the NFL. What are we willing to pay him? So, like you said, we got to figure that out this year with Ertz and Goddard, Goddard and Sanders. So I'm interested to see it.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, Howard, T.J. Hockenson, and Andrews. Well, Andrews got Lamar Jackson, which he still balled out, before he got injured. Hockenson was just a bad Detroit team, and I had him in a fantasy, and he did me good every time I had him. And Howard got hurt last year, so I mean, look, it's still to be seen. But look, brother, I appreciate you, man. You definitely have to come back the week before the season starts, when the final roster is put together. Yes. I want to hear everything, so I really got to help you back. I appreciate you coming here. You have the knowledge that us Eagles content created on the outside world. That's why you are Philly insider. Now I see why. Because you got the inside knowledge that we do not have. So I really hope that you do come back. And thank you for blessing me with your presence on my channel. And if you have not liked, comment, subscribe to this guy channel, please do. I already know that Richie, I appreciate you. Subscribe to my man Richie right here. And look, I believe that the Eagles content creators, the Philly insider, we're going to make it happen this year, man. We're going to make it happen. And thank you for coming on my channel.
Hey, I want to say thank you so much, JC, for having me on, man. I mean, it's an honor to be on your channel, and I got to have you on my channel at some point, because you kick the knowledge as well, and you got me hyped, man. I want tomorrow. I want week 1 tomorrow right now after the stream. So I appreciate you for that, man. And it was a blessing to be on here with you, talking birds. I mean, it's just great to see the family that the content creator community is, just being able to talk birds anytime. I mean, I wasn't doing this a year ago, and it's just a blessing to meet new people and again, bond over our love of the Philadelphia Eagles. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. All right. Hey, and like always, go Birds.